Nothing in the world quite soothes my soul than the feeling of beating Tottenham. Nothing in the world invigorates me more than watching Tottenham get battered week in, week out. And Chelsea, unsurprisingly, have done the double over Tottenham yet again. Cast your minds back to August. Do you remember how early everyone went on Tottenham? Do you remember the fanfare around Ange Postecoglou? Do you remember Tottenham Hotspur, after the first 10 games, played 10, won 8, drew 2, lost none? James Maddison. Gareth Southgate needs to build a team around James Maddison. James Maddison is the best player in the league. Heung-min Son, the best finisher that world football has seen since Marco van Basten and Ange Postecoglou himself, being prepared and capable of turning water into blowjobs. That is how good that man was. He could do anything. He could give you anything that you need. He was capable of absolutely anything. Guess what? Guess what, Big Ange? Guess what's happened? Tottenham have been battered in their last 3 games. And one of the main reasons as to why they get battered week in, week out, one of the main reasons as to why they are conceding goal after goal after goal is because of Ange Postecoglou. They have got 2 wins in their past 7 games. Champions League football is slipping through their fingers, and it is all their own fault. They are the architects of their own downfall. In the last 3 games, they have conceded 9 goals. And for some reason, nobody is focusing the blame where it belongs. And the blame belongs right in the heart of Ange Postecoglou. Postecoglou's determination and desire to play in one particular way makes his team so predictable. It makes him so easy to play against. You know exactly what you're going to do. And he is not a good manager, simply by that logic. It is impossible to be a good manager if you are totally predictable. It is impossible to be a good manager if one of your skill sets is not pragmatism. The Premier League is a very unforgiving terrain. And if you aren't pragmatic, if you can't amend your system, if you can't amend your style, if you can't bend slightly to adjust in order to accommodate a very gifted opposition, a lot of the time in the Premier League, you will get battered. And that is what happens. Think of any good manager in the league. Pick an example. Let's pick Mikel Arteta. Not a manager that I particularly like, but a manager I rate. And let's use him as an example to demonstrate exactly where Postecoglou is getting it so wrong. Mikel Arteta, when he faces a team that he respects and he's slightly scared of, and he would acknowledge that they are title contenders, he goes away to their ground. He goes away to Pep Guardiola's Manchester City, for example, and what does he do? He defends for his life. He sets up to be resolute. He sets up to be resilient. He sets up to make sure that life is made as difficult for the home team as possible, and he is there to secure a very valuable point, because a point in those circumstances is very good. There is a lot to be said for a 0-0 draw away at the Etihad. So he set up in the way that Diego Simeone would have been very proud. But that's not the way that he naturally plays. He amended his system to accommodate the opposition. He did what needed to be done on that particular day. Then they're playing Chelsea at home, and they know they can batter us, and they know that we will struggle against them, and they set up and they batter us 5-0. Good management, right? Pragmatism. Pragmatic. What does he do? He goes away to a difficult ground, gets a very valuable point. He plays at home against a team that he knows his team are capable of beating, and they open up the floodgates and secure as many goals as possible because goal difference could come into it. Great example of good management. What does Postecoglou do? He plays the same way week in, week out, mate, and everything stays the same. Everyone knows what you're going to do. You become so predictable, and basically everyone knows how to beat you. Ange Postecoglou cannot set up a defence. He cannot set up for set pieces, and Tottenham are conceding set piece after set piece after set piece. We watched Tottenham get bullied set pieces against Arsenal. And then a couple of days later, they've come to their other biggest London rival, and they have lost the game 2-0, 2 goals scored from set pieces. And yet Ange Postecoglou will still tell you that his team do not need a set piece coach. He was asked on 4 separate occasions in the last week about set pieces. And on 4 separate occasions, he basically said that he doesn't see the set piece issue as the biggest problem in that team. He doesn't want a set piece coach. Do you know what he needs one? Somebody needs to pull rank on him. It isn't his decision anymore. His team look like they're having kittens every single time a set piece is curled into the box. How on earth have we got a situation against Chelsea where Marc Cucurella, who had a very good game, I'm not slating him as a player, but he's causing the havoc. Brennan Johnson gets out-muscled by Marc Cucurella. It was a wonderful cross from Conor Gallagher. It was a wonderful header from Chalobah. But how on earth can Marc Cucurella be the player to cause the mayhem? How has Postecoglou not set up his team to allow a situation that doesn't result in that. It's truly, truly ridiculous. And this commitment to his style of play, I don't understand how it gets so much praise. It's not dissimilar to what Marcelo Bielsa was doing. When Marcelo Bielsa was at Leeds, I remember they played Manchester United. Paul Pogba had the game of his life for Man United. And I think the game finished 6-2. If you read the press off the back of that game, you would think that Bielsa's team won 6-2. Everybody was waxing lyrical about the way Leeds played. Oh, they were brilliant. They did this, they did that. They scored the best goal of the day. They were so true to their system. I was thinking, what on earth's going on? They got battered. They conceded 6. And the way that people seem to be talking about Postecoglou, his team are getting it wrong week in, week out, and yet nobody really seems to be flagging it. Like Chelsea, bearing in mind, we have had major, major issues this season. This hasn't been a good season. We have seen Chelsea lose at home to, where do you start? Nottingham Forest have won at Stamford Bridge. Brentford have won at Stamford Bridge. At various points this season, Chelsea have been lacking desperately for personality. We haven't been resolute. We haven't had a backbone. We haven't had a sense of purpose. And there certainly hasn't been camaraderie. There's been a way to get at Chelsea, and yet we line up against Postecoglou's side and we look fantastic. I would say that is Chelsea's best performance this season. And I think Pochettino said something similar. He said that it was the happiest that he has ever felt at Chelsea off the back of a result. So it's nice to hear him say that, because there are so many times where it feels to me like he's flirting with Tottenham. He wants to be the Tottenham manager. So it's nice that he said that. And it's also great that it happened against them. We battered them. We totally battered them. It was 2-0. We were so worthy of the win. It could have been more. They offered nothing. And Tottenham's season is now totally fizzling out. They are running out of gas. And do you remember all of that verve, that vivacity that they were playing with early in the season? It's gone. They beat Aston Villa fairly recently, and I thought that was going to be the moment for Tottenham to make sure that they got into top 4. Off the back of that, England have lost our 5th spot. That's now not happening. And Tottenham now have just launched a pitiful attempt to finish in the top 4. And I don't know why it's going so wrong. And I also don't know why people aren't focusing on it. But for Chelsea, what a fine week we've had. A great comeback against Aston Villa. It was gutsy, wasn't it? It was ballsy. It's what we wanted to see. And we've beaten Tottenham convincingly. We have done the double over Tottenham. And Pochettino got it right. We have a lot of injuries at the moment, but he didn't chop, he didn't change, and he found the winning formula with a group of young kids. And you can see what Pochettino is doing. For the record, I don't like him and I don't want him as Chelsea manager, but you can see what he's doing to certain players. Maybe Noni Madueke is a good example here. Getting him playing, getting him running at the fullback, getting him on the front foot and helping him to develop into the player that a lot of people believe that he can become. So no, there's a lot of promise. The problem, and the reason why I am fearful, is because we have seen on many occasions this year a rousing performance from Chelsea and we immediately go back to square one. A good result against Villa, a good result against Tottenham. It wouldn't be that surprising to see us put in a spineless performance against West Ham on Sunday and end up getting beat. That wouldn't be surprising, but got to be positive, got to believe that there is a way that we can keep this form going, and I am delighted with the way that it went. For it to be Chalobah scoring like that off the back of a Conor Gallagher cross, it's just a joy to see, and I think that needs to be a resounding message sent to Clearlake. However you need to balance your books, however you need to make your money, the answer is not selling our kids. The answer is not allowing our quite often captain, Conor Gallagher, one of our star performers this season, to cross the divide to Tottenham. Nothing shouts panic like selling your captain to your biggest rival. So it is very important indeed, that we do not allow that to happen. But it was a brilliant night. It really was. I loved it. I loved everything about it. And I think we need to have a conversation about certain players in the Tottenham team. At what point will people start talking about James Maddison being the uninspiring signing that I said he would be? I called James Maddison's signature at Tottenham uninspiring. I think he's a good player, don't get me wrong. I think there's certain things that he can do. I think there is an element of positivity to his signing. But overall, I called it fairly uninspiring. They lost Kane, they brought in Maddison, and I called that, the terminology was uninspiring. And I got a lot of grief. My dear friend, Adeola Depot, went nuts at me. He said it's the wrong terminology, he's a brilliant player, he's going to play for England. I believe that I am correct. I think it has been a fairly uninspiring signing. Injuries have played a part, of course, but ultimately he hasn't been as good as everybody thought he would be. And there is a far more awkward conversation that needs to be said. Heung-min Son. At what point do we acknowledge that Heung-min Son has not performed? He isn't the player. Without Harry Kane, he looks a shadow of his former self. I think that there are major, major issues at Tottenham, and it really doesn't seem to be going well. Like, even if you just look at the harmony, off the back, I think it was off the back of Chelsea's first goal, the header from Chalobah. I think Tottenham felt hard done by, which is ridiculous. Brennan Johnson was just a weakling, little fragile wimp in that circumstance. And Cucurella did everything right. But you saw Vicario and Van der Ven sort of bickering with one another. Not in a professional way either. More trying to apportion blame. More saying it was your fault. Where were you? Why weren't you marking the man? Why didn't the keeper come and collect it? And you think that isn't how it should be. There's major issues going on at Tottenham. And think about it now. Tottenham have conceded 15 set pieces this season. 15 set pieces. I mean, Postecoglou saying that he doesn't want a specialist coach to help him solve this major issue that is plaguing his Tottenham team. It's futile. And him saying that he doesn't need it is losing strength week after week. In fact, minute after minute. But look, it's a great day. Any day where you beat Tottenham is always a good day. I am over the moon. Chelsea have done the double over Tottenham. And, I am dreaming of making it into those European spots. I know that some people will say that it's uninspiring and unadventurous and maybe not even desirable. But I desperately want Chelsea to play European football tomorrow. Tomorrow? That would be adventurous. I desperately want Chelsea to play European football next season. And if we can get there by hook or by crook, I will be over the moon. Fingers crossed we can do it. I really do appreciate you tuning into this video. Please do me a favour. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Really interested to hear what you say about this one. And just need to let you know, I'm inching ever closer to 300,000 subscribers. So it would be an honour to welcome you into this community. Please do click subscribe. Give the video a like if you've enjoyed it. Really, really helps me out. Thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful day. Glory, glory, Tottenham Hotspur, eh?